Hey everyone, I'm Michael, and this is another episode in my series, A Plant a Week. In this series, I talk about various houseplants. I highlight one for the whole video, talking about how to properly care for it, how to water it, how to propagate it, everything that you need to know to keep your plant healthy and happy. And today we are talking about Dracaena Marginata Bicolour, more commonly known as your most basic of Dracaenas. This plant is Dracaena Marginata Bicolour, one of the most common and inexpensive Dracaena plants that you can buy. Dracaena are one of those species of plants that are incredibly common. You can find them anywhere from nurseries to big box stores. This particular Dracaena was actually one of the very first plants I've ever purchased. It was back before I even knew anything about houseplants, about 2 or 3 years ago now. You can see just how slowly this plant has grown for me. They're incredibly common, and there are over 200 varieties of Dracaena, giving you a wide variety on the look and foliage. This is actually the second Dracaena to be featured in my Plant a Week series. We talked about Dracaena Syntho a few weeks ago. I'll post the link to that in the description below. Today though, we're looking at the Marginata Bicolour. Marginatas are characterized by their green stalks encased in bands of emerald green, yellow, and red. Dracaena marginata, like most tropicals, tend to favor a well-draining soil. I keep mine in a mixture of potting soil, orchid bark, and perlite. However, just like pothos, I've seen Dracaena flourish just in potting soil. It's best to plant it in a pot with drainage holes, though. While these plants don't need a lot of water to survive, they like to have their soil thoroughly soaked once it dries out. However, it doesn't like to sit in water, as that will cause its roots to rot. When watering, it's important to water these guys with filtered or distilled water, or even rainwater. These plants don't really do well with the salts and minerals in straight-up tap water. I like to fill up my watering cans and let them sit for a couple days before I use them to water my plants. Once again, similar to pothos, Dracaenas can grow in a wide variety of lighting conditions. They thrive in bright indirect light, but can grow in shadier places in your room. These plants don't typically do well in full sun, however, as they are prone to leaf burn. You can get around this, though, by slowly introducing your plant to a brighter location, training it to grow in direct sunlight. I've found my Dracaena are incredibly slow growing, especially this one, but I haven't really kept it in the most ideal lighting. This Dracaena has kind of been relegated to the darker corners of my room, which need a little bit of foliage to spice it up. As for fertilizing, Dracaenas in general don't need a lot of fertilizer. They do benefit from feeding during the growing season, but they aren't too fussy about the type of fertilizer they get. I use an organic fertilizer on mine, but you could use regular liquid fertilizer or fish emulsion. Just make sure to dilute whatever fertilizer you are giving it. As I talked about in the Dracaena Syntho video, there are 2 main ways of propagating Dracaena, through top cuttings and stem cuttings. When top cutting, you simply chop off the top of the plant. It sounds drastic, but the plant will push out new growth to compensate for the lack of leaves. When you top cut, you'll often see a branching effect, resulting in 2 or more new branches with leaf growth. In this way, you can prune your Dracaena how you like to create a more tiered look. When stem cutting, you're just going to chop up the Dracaena. Take off the tops, but also portions of the original stem, rooting them all in moist soil or water, taking care to remember which side was the bottom of each cutting. This way you'll end up with a lot of new plants. All Dracaenas are toxic to cats and dogs, causing vomiting, excess saliva, and a lack of appetite. Just make sure to keep these plants away from your animals. Luckily, my dogs generally keep away from all of my plants, unless I've been ignoring them, and then the little one starts pawing at everything, and I have to yell at her and tell her to stop. It's a whole big thing. As far as pests go, Dracaena are generally free of serious insects or diseases. I haven't had any problem with mine, and fingers crossed it stays that way, although mine also has barely grown for me, so who knows. Incredibly ornamental and easy to find, Dracaena are one of those plants that every plant collector has. It's great for beginners and unique in its look, especially when they become large, mature plants. Given the right care, you'll have your Dracaena for years to come. Thanks again for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for similar content. On Mondays, I post videos about houseplants, and on Fridays, I also post videos about houseplants, and reading, writing, photography, art, and any other generic interests of mine. As always, you can find my social media links in the description below. Also, you can find links to H&H Games, the board game company I've helped create, and our debut board game, Season of Heroes. You can also find the Amazon links to my fantasy series, A Chronicle of Crowns. Thanks for watching, bye!